What if the child you gave birth to grew wings and began to fly? Would you see it as a miracle or a curse? The movie begins with a struggling mother named Katie, her face tired and worn down by the weight of survival. She arrives at a social services office, ready to hand her baby over to foster care. With tears in her eyes, she explains how impossible it has become to raise 2 children on her own. The worker behind the desk lists possible options: home help, financial aid, even filing abandonment papers. But none of it offers Katie relief. Her spirit is broken. To understand how she reached this moment, we have to go back many months earlier in Eastern Paris. Katie lives with her young daughter Lisa in a small apartment. Life is hard, but she fights to keep some normalcy. One morning, Lisa wakes her mother before dawn, and though Katie wants nothing more than to stay in bed, she drags herself up. They share a small breakfast, then hop on Katie's motorcycle, with Lisa clutching tightly as they race down the road. Katie drops her daughter at school, then rides away to her job at a cosmetic factory. Her work is repetitive and exhausting, locking cans, packaging products. But it's here that Katie first notices a new worker, Paco Sanchez, a handsome Spaniard whose playful eyes meet hers across the room. At lunch, fate draws them together outside. Paco casually asks for a cigarette, and within minutes, they share a spark that feels instant and undeniable. By the end of the break, their flirtation has already turned into something more. Katie returns to her station flushed, but her boss scolds her for being late. Moments later, she faints on the factory floor. Hours pass before she can pick up Lisa from school, leaving the little girl waiting in the dark. But Lisa, wise beyond her years, doesn't complain. She simply takes her mother's helmet and rides home behind her. That night, Lisa asks Katie to keep the hallway light on, scared of the shadows creeping in. Katie softens, kissing her goodnight, but her thoughts linger on Paco. The next day, Paco continues his pursuit, and soon he asks Katie out. That evening, she lies to Lisa, saying she's meeting friends, and heads off in nervous anticipation. Paco is late, but when he finally arrives, Katie can't help but smile. Over dinner, he asks about her daughter and listens as she reveals her painful past. Lisa's father abandoned them, unable to accept the child. Paco, in turn, admits he was once married in Spain, but now he's free. Their bond deepens quickly, and by night's end, Paco follows her home. Lisa wakes to find her mother with a stranger in the kitchen. Katie introduces Paco, but Lisa retreats to her room, uncertain and wary. Still, Katie insists that Paco might be staying with them, and Lisa, in her innocence, begins to imagine the possibility of a real family. Weeks turn into months, and Paco becomes a fixture in their lives. Katie grows pregnant, and when the time comes, she gives birth to a baby boy. Lisa is allowed to choose the name, and she proudly calls him Ricky. At first, life feels joyful. The small family celebrates with champagne and fried chicken, Paco proudly raising a toast to his son. But beneath the laughter, cracks begin to show. Lisa quietly resents losing her room to the new baby. She notices Paco lying about his whereabouts, and she witnesses her mother and Paco fighting over responsibilities. Katie insists that Paco step up and help with the baby, since it was his idea to have one. Their arguments echo through the small apartment, leaving Lisa to soothe Ricky's cries alone. Then one day, something strange happens. Katie discovers a bruise-like swelling on Ricky's back. At first, she suspects Paco might have dropped him, but Paco denies it. Soon, another lump appears on the other side. Katie grows alarmed, fearing something is terribly wrong. The baby cries endlessly, and one night, when Lisa is left to watch him, she notices the lumps bleeding. But the truth is far stranger than any illness. One morning, Katie and Lisa hear Ricky giggling. They search the apartment, only to find him impossibly perched on top of a wardrobe. As Katie rushes to catch him, the baby tumbles, but instead of crashing to the floor, small, fragile wings break his fall. Yes, Ricky has grown wings. Katie is stunned, unsure whether to feel fear or awe. Together with Lisa, she washes the blood from his feathers and tries to keep him safe. They drape a blanket over his crib to stop him from flying too high. But Lisa worries it feels like a cage. Katie warns her daughter never to tell anyone. The world, she insists, won't understand a baby born with wings. But Ricky's wings keep growing. They measure them week by week, watching in awe as feathers sprout. Katie and Lisa even cut holes into his clothes so he can flap freely. At first, he barely hovers above the ground, but soon he begins to glide. Lisa cheers him on, proud of her little brother's impossible gift. Still, Katie is consumed by fear. She researches wings, anatomy, and bird weight in the library. She baby-proofs their home with cushions, helmets, and foam, preparing for the day her son might truly take flight. One evening, she and Lisa experiment, letting Ricky hover gently above the pillows. For a few moments, he floats with joy before dropping harmlessly back onto the cushions. The miracle is undeniable, but miracles don't stay hidden forever. One day at the mall, Ricky wriggles free from his stroller and soars into the air like a tiny angel. Shoppers freeze in shock as the winged infant flutters above their heads. Phones flash, crowds scream, security rushes in. Ricky laughs innocently, dodging ladders and arms reaching for him. To save him, Katie orders the lights shut off. In the sudden darkness, Ricky descends into the frozen foods aisle, only to be snatched by a guard. News spreads like wildfire. A flying baby has been born in Paris. Ricky is taken to the hospital, and Katie is forced to defend her son. The doctor, though fascinated, insists he won't treat the child like an experiment without her consent. But he warns that Ricky should be studied for his own safety. Katie clutches her baby, refusing to let him become a specimen. She sneaks him out through the back, escaping the mob of reporters swarming the entrance. But the world will not let them live in peace. Neighbors gossip. Paparazzi stalk their building. Reporters camp outside. Katie's life spirals into chaos. Exhausted, she begins to resent Ricky, even blaming him for ruining their lives. Lisa, however, remains loyal. She protects her brother, comforts him, and even lets him fly around the apartment in secret. It's during this storm that Paco reappears. Though Katie once accused him of hurting Ricky, Paco insists he wants to be part of their lives. He's amazed by his son's wings, calling it a miracle. Slowly, Katie forgives him. The family begins to piece itself back together. But peace doesn't last. Ricky's flights grow wilder. He crashes against walls, injures his wings, and terrifies Katie. The doctor warns them that if nothing is done, Ricky could suffer or even wither away. He proposes a surgery to remove the wings, though it would cause immense pain. The choice tears Katie apart. Lisa, overwhelmed, even considers cutting off Ricky's wings herself, but she stops at the last moment. Meanwhile, Paco hatches another idea. They could sell Ricky's story to the media for money, turning his curse into their salvation. At first, Katie is furious, thinking Paco only cares about profit, but eventually she sees the allure. The money could secure their future. So one morning, they present Ricky before the cameras. Tied to a safety string, the baby flaps his wings and rises into the air. Reporters scream with excitement, snapping endless photos. But suddenly, the string slips. Ricky soars higher and higher, breaking free of his parents' grasp. Katie screams his name, but Ricky doesn't look back. He flies toward a distant lake, his tiny figure vanishing into the trees. The crowd disperses, leaving Katie, Paco, and Lisa standing in silence, broken and helpless. Days pass. They search the woods, hand out missing flyers, beg for help. Hope fades. Paco tries to console Katie, but she refuses to accept that her baby is gone. She can't give up. One morning, consumed by despair, Katie walks to the lake. Slowly, she wades into the water deeper and deeper, ready to surrender to the silence. But then, she hears a sound. A laugh, a familiar, innocent giggle. Shielding her eyes, she sees him, Ricky, flying above her with wings now stronger, fuller, more magnificent than ever. He glides gracefully down to the shore. Katie rushes to him, trembling, whispering apologies through her tears. She tells him how much she loves him. Ricky giggles once more, then lifts into the sky again, soaring high above the treetops, free and untouchable. Katie returns home soaked but smiling, her spirit renewed. She embraces Paco and Lisa, declaring her love for them. Life moves forward. Katie becomes pregnant again. Paco takes Lisa to school on the motorcycle. They are a family, scarred but whole. And though Ricky belongs to the wild now, his presence remains in their hearts forever. If your baby suddenly grew wings and began flying around your home, would you protect them from the world or hide them away in fear? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And that's the incredible story of Ricky, 2009, a film that mixes raw reality with magical wonder. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and check out more epic movie stories right here on the channel. Until next time, keep your eyes to the skies. You never know what miracle might appear.